16 teams made the playoffs. One, the Denver Nuggets, have mowed through everybody. The other 15 lost or have struggled. Denver hasn't. Swept the Lakers, rolled through the Suns, humiliated Minnesota, and are hammering Miami. They are the best team. One team of 16 has rolled through it, from IQ to coaching to versatility to length to scoring to rebound. They're just the best team. Shooting, selflessness. It doesn't matter. They're special. Basketball, though, is a very hard game to officiate. It's a series of pass interference calls for 2.5 hours. Big bodies moving quickly, trying to initiate contact. Flopping thrown in to add a degree of difficulty. You could call a foul on every play. That's why the NBA, more than any other sport, it's hard to officiate. You always hear that, the league is rigged. The league is rigged. So I went back 50 years to 1963. I think I had to go to 66 with the NFL. How many champions have there been in every sport? And you know what you find? It's all about the same. College football and college basketball, college sports built for dynasties, both have 24. Isn't that something in 50 years? Baseball, 23, hockey, 20, NFL, 20, and the NBA, Denver would be the 18th. The only reason the NBA is just slightly lower is because I started in 1963, and that was in the middle of the longest-running dynasty in the history of American professional sports, the Boston Celtics. If I had started earlier, a few years, they'd be at 22, 23 like everybody else. A lot of those teams have now disappeared in the NBA. The reality is the best team wins in every sport. Every sport also, between the Yankees or the Lakers or Alabama football or Duke or Carolina basketball, every sport also has one or two franchises or teams that have more championships based on a legendary coach or some geographical advantage or financial edge or marketing edge. Los Angeles, for instance, in the NBA with the Lakers, it's a winter league. They play in Los Angeles, nice weather, entertainment capital for a league that's star-driven. You get it. But don't kid yourself on Denver. They're just fantastic. Guys like Aaron Gordon are averaging 17.5 points, and he's a defensive stopper. He's got an Andrew Wiggins Warriors feel. We'll get into that later. Their top 5 players are all in their prime. Very scary for the rest of basketball. They're going nowhere. Nothing is rigged. Hate to break it to you. If it was, the Celtics would make it, and so would the Lakers. Denver has rolled. The only team they have rolled through the NBA playoffs, and they're mowing over Miami. And they also have an element of maturity and coaching in Michael Malone, who said his only fear tonight is apathy. That's what great teams worry about. Overconfidence. Miami's not worried about that. They're getting squished. That's what the Shaq and Kobe, Phil Jackson Lakers worried about. Overconfidence. Being dialed in tonight. Denver is significantly better this year than the regular rest of the NBA. They were a number 1 seed. They were so locked in and so much better, they basically took the last 2 weeks of the regular season off. Jokić missed 5 of the last 7 games. They just sat him. Otherwise, they'd probably have the first or second best record in the NBA. Make no mistake, the better team's the Denver Nuggets. So Saquon Barkley is not the best running back in the NFL, but he may be the most valuable because the owner of the New York Giants forced his GM and his head coach to saddle up to Daniel Jones at a financial number, $40 million a year, I could argue is almost double his value. They negotiated against themselves. Nobody else would have signed Daniel Jones to anything resembling that contract. So Saquon Barkley's not the best back, but what is Daniel Jones without him? With him, he's mediocre and overpaid. So let's look at Saquon Barkley's career. He's the number 2 pick, comes into the NFL, and has his best year. 2,000 yards, led the NFL, he was fantastic. Year 2, he was very good, but he missed some games. Year 3, he's injured, barely played. Year 4, he came back too early, missed more games, below average season. Last year, year 5, arguably his second best year, very strong. 1,600 yards, 10 TDs. So the Giants rightly and predictably franchise tagged him. That's what any good GM would do. He's had one amazing year 2 very strong years, an injured year, a meh year when he came back too soon, and he's missed 21 starts. That's a lot. That's a lot. 21 starts. He's missed those due to injury. May have missed another one just to sit out a game. He should be franchise tagged. That's why everybody collectively bargained for it. But the franchise tag would pay him a number, $10 million a year, that would indicate he's the 7th best running back in the NFL. I think he's closer to 4 or 5, but it's close. The Giants' issue, though, and this happens throughout the league, and fans, I don't think, recognize it. Owners, Cleveland has one, Dallas has one, the Giants apparently have one, though I never thought the Mara family were really in that class. They want to see Daniel Jones work. They see some Eli Manning, Southern kid, kind of looks similar, same size, more athletic than Eli, maybe not the arm of Eli, but they don't want chaos anymore. It's a very blue blood franchise. They don't like chaos. Let the Jets have chaos. The Lions have chaos. Washington have chaos. Raiders have chaos. Giants don't like it. They want their quarterback. And so they negotiated against themselves. And that's always bad in any business, negotiating against yourself. And they massively overpaid for him. And now it makes Saquon Barkley a very, very good back. The back with the most leverage in the entire NFL. Because the offensive line is average to below average. The receiving core is a nothing burger. So there you are. I like Saquon. I think he's really good. I'd love to have him on my team. But I would have franchise tagged him. Every GM would have franchise tagged him. But they should have franchise tagged Daniel Jones. Instead, they're trapped. He's been paid fairly. He was a number 2 pick. He's had a great year, 2 strong ones, a meh, and an injured year. He should be franchise tagged. But when the owners swoop in, and they know business, and they know wealth, they're billionaires, but they don't know football, you get trapped. Where you don't want to be in the NFL is trapped. You don't have to be great at something. The Houston Texans, they went and got a quarterback. Carolina went and got a quarterback. They're not trapped. They're actually in better quarterback spots. They could move off of C.J. Stroud. They could move off of Bryce Young after a year or two. They're not paying him anything. But by paying Daniel Jones what they did, and I don't deeply believe the GM would have, this is where you are. Like Saquon, but any reasonable GM would have franchise tagged him. A long-term contract with a player with an injury history at a position with an injury issue is not a good place to be. J-Mac, we're talking about the Jets today in the first hour. Very good news for the Jets. Not so good for the Giants.
Listen, we have been agreeing a lot lately on this show, but I couldn't agree with you more on the Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones disaster for the New York Giants. This Daniel Jones thing, you just have to wonder how far the ramifications will be. Coach, offensive coordinator, rest of the team. Like, it does not look good right now for the Giants. But Saquon acquitted himself very well in that interview.
Yeah.
I watched all the clips, and he said a lot of the right things.
Very few running backs have leverage. Saquon's not just negotiating for himself, but for other running backs right now in the league, because that's a position you have very little leverage. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.